Hello, boxing fans around the world. Good evening to you from Toronto and Talking Fight Nation, ready to rock with Neil the Deal. Neil's in the house, and we've got a gem lined up. We're going to speak about Errol Spence Jr., if I'm not mistaken. He's a great fighter and deserves the recognition. So why don't you take it from here, Neil?
Hey, good evening, Graham. Thanks for having me out again. Appreciate it, as usual. Good evening, guys. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming, everybody around the world. Yep, we're going to be talking about another U.S. fighter tonight, a guy that I've been watching for a bunch of years and now has really become somebody to look out for. So this year, this guy could potentially move right up the ladder and be in a super duper 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 fight. That's basically, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. tonight. Errol Spence Jr. So he has a nickname, Graham, which is pretty cool. They call him the Truth. Now, the problem with that name is there was another guy back in the day, and they used to call him the Truth, and that was Carl the Truth Williams. So it's interesting how guys take other guys' nicknames. I don't know how that works, but whatever, you know what I mean? So they call him the Truth, which is cool. And we'll talk about him tonight, guys. So thanks a lot for the likes, the shares, all the subscriptions, and the views have been going up greatly. Thank you very much for everything. Now, Errol Spence Jr., he was born March 3rd, 1990. That makes him 31 years old this year. He was born in Long Island, New York, United States, the US of A, the big US of A. And he fights in the welterweight division. So he started his pro career in 2012, and he is presently an active fighter. He's currently guys, like right now, currently the unified welterweight champion, holding the IBF and WBC welterweight titles. So he has 2 titles under his belt right now, and he's looking for more. This year, he's already expressed to everybody out there, as we know, Errol, you're a hell of a fighter. We're going to talk more about you tonight, but man, yeah, he could be one that could he might be fighting the guy with the WBO belt soon, so I'm thinking maybe that's something that he's going to do. So he's currently ranked right now the 3rd best active pound-for-pound boxer in the world, which is an amazing thing. You know, if you watch this guy, any of his fights, he's really, really flashy. He's very, very good at what he does. He's got everything in the toolbox, if you know what I mean. Everything you can imagine, he's got in the toolbox. He's known, like, literally around the boxing community, has great endurance. Like, his endurance is great. He has this aggressive style that is really impressive to me. I love boxers, Graham, with aggressive styles. I don't like guys kind of doping around and hanging out and stuff. I like guys that are just getting in there, giving it all they got, 100% all the time. And that's what Errol Spence Jr. does. He goes like 24/7 the whole fight. He does not quit at all. He's got blazing hand speed. His ring intelligence is amazing, and he has some of the most crushing body blows that I've ever seen. He has this liver punch that he's been taking guys out with over the last, 10 years, so to speak. And he's just, that liver punch, you watch any of his fights, that is one of the most devastating punches. The way that he's got calculated footwork, he moves himself into position amazingly, and he throws this punch to the liver that literally drops guys all the time. So he's got amazing body punching power, like, a guy that can knock you out with a body blow. That's amazing. He's very elusive in the ring too. Like, he runs around and he uses his superior ring positioning to put himself in a place where he can throw punches, but the opponents cannot hit him. So he's really, really crafty. I think he's probably right there. He could take all the titles, Errol Spence Jr. in my mind. I would not be surprised at all. He's got everything, like I said, in the toolbox to take out anybody at any time. Now, his amateur totals, guys, he had a great amateur career. He had a total of 147 fights as an amateur, which is a lot of fights. When you think about 147 fights, that's a lot of fights. He won 135 of those fights, and he lost 12 as an amateur, right? Which still, I mean, he's an up-and-coming kid. He's learning and stuff, but that's a lot of fights to have, is almost 150 fights, Graham. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So in 2009, 10, and 2011, he won the gold medal at the U.S. Amateur National Championship. So he's a three-time champion, gold medal winner in the U.S. Nationals. He also won a gold and silver medal at the Golden Gloves as well in 2009 and 2010. So his amateur career was pretty much stellar, and he's catapulted that into a fantastic pro career. Where like I say, when you see what else he's been doing, man, it's like unbelievable. He was also part of the 2012 Olympic boxing team, the United States Olympic boxing team in London, but he failed to medal there. He had a valiant effort, but he failed to medal, and then he decided to turn pro pretty much right after the Olympics. So he turned pro in 2012. So let's go over his pro totals now, guys. Now these are pretty serious pro totals. That's why I'm saying, Graham, there's so many guys in this division that can go up a few pounds or down a few pounds between Lopez, Teofimo Lopez, and Canelo, and Sean Porter, and Danny Garcia, and Mikey Garcia. Like, there's so many guys, Terrence Crawford, in that little window of space. This is what's going to make these divisions, the middle divisions, I think, some of the most exciting fights of the year, and probably one of the most exciting divisions that is going to be moving forward. It's absolutely amazing. So his pro totals, he's got a pro total of 27 fights. All right, and he's got 27 wins, guys. He's undefeated. Errol Spence Jr. is undefeated. Wow. He's got 21 knockouts, gives him a knockout percentage of 78%. He's boxed 132 rounds, so that gives him about 4 rounds per fight. But any of his fights are amazing. He's really exciting to watch. He made his pro debut in 2012. He was 22 years old. He fought a lot in 2013. He had 10 fights, of which he won 8 by knockout. By 2015, he was 16-0, and he was getting a lot of attention, Graham, at that point when he was 16-0. Guys were really checking him out, and he was also named Prospect of the Year in 2015 by ESPN. So that's where he kind of started getting some recognition, to the point where guys were really looking at him going, wow, this guy's got some. He's been proving it ever since then. So after that, he was involved in a bunch of eliminator fights. And then in 2017, he kind of had to move himself up the ranks. In May 2017, he fought a guy named Kel Brock for the IBF welterweight title, and in spectacular fashion, he took Mr. Brock out with a TKO in the 11th round. So that was his first world title right there, and he's just been getting better and better and better, guys. Like, really, really serious. So in March 2019. He was to fight the IBF lightweight champion, Mikey Garcia. Now, Mikey Garcia is no slouch by any means. Although he's a lighter guy, he moved up in weight to fight Errol Spence Jr. Mikey Garcia's record at the time of fighting him was 39-1 with 30 knockouts. So he was no slouch. And if you check this fight out, in a lopsided 12 rounds, start to finish, slam dunk, Spence won easily and dominated Garcia. And that's when I thought, holy cow, this guy's really got something going on now. That was just like, holy cow, he's fighting a very, very, very well-schooled and great fighter. So that's when my ears went up and I was like, wow, this guy could be amazing. Like, this guy could really do something serious. So he won every round in that fight, Graham. Like, literally, he won every round against Garcia. I couldn't believe it. So, and then later in 2019, he fought a former 2-time welterweight champion, Sean Porter. And Sean Porter, again, is a serious cat. He's right in there right now. He's still in there. He's not going anywhere, Sean Porter. It was an amazing display by both fighters, Graham. That fight was amazing. Like, you guys just have to watch it. I can't even explain it. It was split decision win, but by Spence won the fight. But I'm telling you, that could have gone either way. And those guys are big time, both of them, in that welterweight division. So in his most recent fight, he fought former world champion Danny Garcia. And that one I thought was going to be, well, he's really starting to move up the ladder. Danny Garcia is a big time. That was in December 2020. And he won by unanimous decision and took Danny Garcia down as well. And that really surprised me that he did that so easily. So, Danny Garcia, the way you fighting a guy who's fought Eric Morales twice and beat him, Amir Khan beat him, Zab Judah, and Paulie Malignaggi. Okay, Danny Garcia. So Danny Garcia is not like a fly-by-nighter, man. He's big time. He's 36-3. So Errol Spence Jr. is really making a mark in that welterweight division. Graham, you know what I'm saying? He's really making his mark, and I think the guys are a little worried about him. To be honest with you, I really do. They're really worried about him. So his notable fights, guys. We basically talked a bunch about the fights that I watched and was really impressed. I mean, any of his fights, Graham. He's got an amazing style. He's fun to watch. He's really in the ring. He's a major tactician. He's got everything going. His jab, his body shots are unbelievable. Like I was saying, his combinations, a left uppercut. He's a southpaw. He's got an uppercut that'll like give you the rock'em sock'em robot head. Boom, you're done. Like he knocks these guys like right out. So the fights that I watched, guys, if you want to watch some of his fights that I thought were amazing, was obviously that Kell Brooks fight, the one where he won his first IBF title. Mikey Garcia fight, Spence versus Mikey Garcia. Sean Porter, we talked about Sean Porter, and he's a guy who's going to be around, as well as Danny Garcia. These guys are not going anywhere, but he's beat them all. So I was really, really impressed. So recently, as we know, he's been trying to fight Terrence Crawford. That was the big thing that he's been talking about, fighting Terrence Crawford. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen because of financial issues and stuff. Bring back and forth, I guess, between the two camps. And Spence say he should probably fight the WBA title holder, would be his next fight. That's what I'm thinking is Yordenis Ugas. Yordenis Ugas has the WBA welterweight title. I think that's probably where he's going to go later this year. And let's hope it goes down, Graham. Like that. Then he'll have the 3 titles, and then they're going to have to deal with him at that point. They have no choice. You know what I mean? Or it's going to be mandatory, whatever it is. So this year could be a big year for Errol Spence Jr. I think it will be. Guys, I really do think this guy's got the potential to go right across the board and take them all. And he's a very confident fighter, Graham. Very confident. Obviously, 27-0. He's pretty confident, I'd have to say. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing him this year. There are other guys out there that he could fight, but he's at the point where he wants a big fight. And all these guys they're kind of going around him a bit. They're kind of going around him. And Terrence Crawford, he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to cooperate. He wants to fight Pacquiao and stuff. And so it's a lot of, again, fighting promotional companies and financial issues and stuff that are holding back these fights. But let's hope they can get over that, and we can see Errol Spence Jr. in a big title fight. Like I say, even with the WBA title holder there, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. So
yeah, he's an exciting fighter, Neil, and you've hit the nail on the head on many fronts. And I really do hope that he does have some serious challengers to face and prove himself in that regard. Because you're right. I think there are some boxers out there who do an effective job, or maybe their management companies do an effective job of ducking certain fighters in order to position themselves and remain as a champion or title holder or belt holder. And I think it's a tad unfair, but there are an awful lot of really decent boxers in this weight class. So he's going to have a good year no matter who he faces, I'm sure.
Yeah, I really truly do believe that. He's proven himself in his last 3-4 fights that he's prepared for anybody. Golovkin, he's got all kinds of guys that he can fight, but they're all kind of doing their own thing, and they're kind of leaving him out of the mix or something. And that's kind of strange to me. Just watch his fights and you'll see why. He's a very crafty fighter and very skilled, very, very skilled in every aspect of fighting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And guys, just a quick note: there's been a lot of fights coming up, Graham, that have been announced. In these older fighters are coming back. Have you noticed all this stuff going on with
Totally. Golden
Chavez
boy.
Sr. against Camacho Jr. And then we got there's all kinds of them now. Like, I understand the Holyfield Tyson fight might be off or something of this sort. Oscar De La Hoya wants to come back and fight. Miguel
Yeah.
Cotto apparently is going to be fighting Juan Manuel Marquez. Like, this is these guys. But anyways, I'm just saying, I've been noticing that recently, that all these old fighters are coming back. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. I mean, De La Hoya hasn't had a fight since 2008. So I don't know what he's thinking, but whatever, man.
Right.
It's gonna this could either go one of two ways, right? It's either gonna go really well or really bad. So anyways.
Exactly.
So I guess we'll thanks a lot for coming out tonight, checking out the show.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it, guys. Thanks for everything, Graham. And
Awesome.
I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7:00 Eastern Standard Time. Take care of yourselves, and look out for Errol Spence Jr. I'm telling you, in the welterweight division, he's already got the 2 belts. He's going to be somebody that they do not want to deal with going forward.
All good. All right, we'll see you tomorrow night, Neil.
Thanks, Graham. Guys, have yourselves a good night. Thanks for coming out. Really appreciate it.
Perfect. Cheers.